Hey, son. Okay, I have a bit of a weird question.
Okay.
What do you think about my lips?
They're good. The lipstick's on.
Yeah, because, no, I just mean like the shape of it, because a lot of people have been telling me that they notice I pout a lot.
Right.
Like, and I'm not intentional, I'm not trying to do it to try and be like flirty or anything. I just like, when I'm thinking or if I'm concentrating a lot, I just tend to go like...
So that's like a thinking face.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But then I was doing like some research because I thought maybe that's just a bit weird. I don't want to look like, you know, the Kardashians or something. And I found out it's actually pretty common in the Philippines to be pouting a lot with your lips. Like you kind of go like, oh, over there. So instead of using your finger, you use your lips.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That sounds kind of like, yeah, maybe we should get an expert in for that.
Yeah, I've only had an expert on like Filipino culture or something.
I'm an expert.
Oh, hey Sarah.
Good to see you.
Hello.
How come you're an expert?
I know all about the Philippines.
Okay.
I have grown up in the Philippines.
Oh.
I went over there as a young girl and then I lived there for 5 years as an adult teaching at the international school.
You speak a bit of Tagalog.
Konti lang, very small amount, but enough to get by and you know, to be able to understand. I knew more when I lived there, but now it's just basic, you know, swear words.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Convo Couch. My name is Connie.
I'm Sun.
And today we have our very special guest, Sarah Purdue, who is the festival director for SHORT+SWEET in Australia and also the coordinator for the SHORT+SWEET in Hollywood. So
That's right.
welcome.
Thank you so much and thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here.
Awesome.
And I think Connie's doing a play there too.
Yes.
Yeah, so
How are you feeling about that?
I'm one of the first time directors. Look, it's really good. I met up with the writer last week.
So you actually met in person?
Yeah, I met in person.
How amazing was
She's
that?
Sydney based.
Was it good?
So, yeah, she was amazing. So, the play that I'm doing, I'm sorry, I don't want to take the limelight because it's not about
please.
you, but
Please tell me.
I do this so that I can ask your insight.
Yeah.
It's actually about a couple.
In a restaurant?
Not in a
You're not one of those 150 scripts. All right, cool.
They're not in a restaurant.
All right.
They're in a lift.
I had a beautiful teacher here in Sydney who said to me that actors need to be trained because it's a profession like everything else.
Absolutely.
And he said to me, if you were to walk into a surgeon's room, what do they call it? An operating room.
Yeah.
Well done, Sarah. If you were to walk into an operating room and all of a sudden decide you could be a surgeon, people would laugh you out of the room because they'd say, no, you need to go and do 8 years of training. He said, it baffles me that actors who have never had any training can walk onto a stage and think that they could do a good job. And it stuck with me for it still sticks with me. And so training was really important. And so when I decided to fly to New York to audition for this drama school, it was really on a whim. It was really like, I'll do it, but I won't get in, and that's okay. At least I've tried. And it was frightening because the audition process is, you know, there's a panel of people and they're obviously well established, not only in the industry, but in New York City, which was for me everything growing up. I just wanted to be on Broadway. Wish I could sing, but I can't. And whatever they saw in me, or whatever they saw potentially in me, after I flew back to Australia about a week later, I got a fat envelope. And to me, a fat envelope is always a good thing because there's paperwork to sign, right? I was like, if I get a skinny envelope, a fat envelope, it's really good. It was a fat envelope.
Yeah.
And it just... my world changed.
Wow.
And flying, I was very young and I flew across to New York, but training was so important for me. It was so important to get that training. And it's helped me in my career. When you have to do a show, when there's a long run or it's emotionally draining, I know the techniques to pull on in order to get the best out of myself. My sister, in fact, is working her way towards being an actress as well. And I've always said to her, it's so important to train because if you get a gig that runs 12 months or whatever, the audience needs to see you every night on your game. You can't afford to have a bad night because there's always an understudy.
If there was like one like really powerful lesson that you learnt at that school, do you know what that is and what is it?
It's to be relentless in your pursuit of your career.
Okay.
Like I think my fire in New York wasn't strong enough to sustain me.
Okay.
And I say that in the sense that I watched people who just didn't take no for an answer.
Right.
You know, and there's times and places, like obviously, you know, if you go for an audition and they say no thanks, you can't stand in the room and go, actually, yes. You know, like,
Yes, you are taking me.
I mean, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But the people that were working on the craft, the people that were prepared to go for an audition no matter the cost, you know, well, I'll just lose my bar shift and that's fine, but I'm going for this audition. You know, I've got to go for an audition and it's a terrible theatre company off Broadway, but it doesn't matter because it'll get me in the door. And I'm like, it's that constant fight for their careers.
Yes.
The biggest lesson I learnt was to be relentless.
What do you think makes a good director?
What makes a good director? I think a good director allows their actors to have input into what they're doing. It's a creative process. And I think a director needs to have vision about what a play or a film should look like, but they need to have enough faith in themselves and in their actors to know that sometimes the actors have visions too, and whatever happens, there are no mistakes and it's a collaborative process. I mean, I always think that if an actor says to me, I just wanted to try this line really angry, my answer is always, okay, let's try it. Because at the end of the day, it either works or it doesn't. And if it does work and I haven't thought of it, amazing. That's fantastic. I think a good director needs to be organised, because there's lots of fingers in lots of pies that you need to kind of get involved with. I think a good director knows the script. I always say to my kids, or I don't teach anymore, but I always say to people that I'm working with, as a director, you need to read your script at least 4 or 5 times, and then once a day while you're working on the play or the film, because you need to know it, and you need to know it inside out. I think a good director listens and knows when to step in and when to step back. And then a good director, to me, a good director will then release what they've done to the creative cast and crew and just let it kind of watch it unfold. Can I sum that up in a sentence? I think maybe a good director has to have faith.
Yeah.
That's a very fine line, isn't it? And
Yeah.
like, what kind of situations do you think like a director might say let go and just trust the process, or like when they should step in? If you have an example from your past experience or anything like that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard. I remember saying so my cast for Alice in Wonderland, there was 150 kids involved, from grade 5 right up into high school, and I had drummed into them, whatever happens, the show goes on. If you trip on stage, the show goes on. You know, whatever happens. And we had our opening night, and the power went. And when you say, when do I step in and when do I step back? I was sitting in the audience and I went, I don't know what to do. Do I step in and say to the audience, sorry, we'll start again? And the kids just kept going. They just kept on going. And then the power came back on and I was like, okay, I don't know. I think each director is different.
Yeah.
You know, I think each person who directs a piece, either film or theatre, intrinsically knows, okay, my actors are fine, I'm going to let them go. Or no, they're not, I'm going to step in. I might wake up in the morning and go to jump on my emails and think, please let there be less than 70. You know, like...
I've probably taken up 15 of those.
No. It's a good day if there's 20. I'm like, yes. Beautiful. I can have a coffee before I start. Because everybody wants to know something.
Of course.
And I can't answer all of those questions. And so it's also about putting out fires. It's about keeping people calm. Especially first-time directors, they're so nervous. So to be able to say to them, it's okay, it's only 10 minutes, which sounds condescending, but it's not. It's only 10 minutes. Have fun. The worst that can happen is that you'll learn something. The best that can happen is 200 people in the audience will stand up and cheer for you. You're not going to die. The world is not going to end. You'll have a great time. comes down to my belief that we are just human beings telling human stories, and everybody from everywhere feels love and feels anger and feels whatever they feel, and those stories, whether they're told in English or Tagalog or Mandarin or Hindi, it doesn't matter. We will all, as an audience, come to appreciate the feeling of what's being involved. We've got a play coming from India, so all the creatives, the director, the writer, the cast are all coming across from India.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Are they performing it in English or?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm trying to talk them out of it. I'd like them to perform.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
I think it's Hindi
Yeah.
that they speak.
Yeah.
I don't want to get it wrong. I would love them to perform in their native tongue.
Okay.
Really would. I've got 2 girls coming out from LA. They will probably perform in Spanish.
Wow.
Because they come from the Latino segment of LA. I've got a play coming in that's in silence with no words at all. So I've tried to mix it up and really bring something different to the festival that kind of has a different stamp on things.
I think like the way you curate things as well, it seems like it's going along with a theme that happens in a certain week.
What's socially on trend as well.
It's really funny because we get plays submitted from all over the world, and it's my job to read them all and to decide, yes, they make the final cut into the festival, or no. So the plays can come in and they can be submitted for Sydney, or they can be submitted for the global short and sweet. So that, and then they become considerations for, short and sweet LA, short and sweet in Auckland, short and sweet in Manila, short and sweet in Canberra, in Brisbane. So we get plays from everywhere. Last year, when I read last year's plays, I noticed that there was a really overwhelming theme of death. Like, just morbid sort of stuff.
Is there a reason why? Like,
I don't know.
Did something happen in the world?
I don't know.
That made people
And
think
I feel like these playwrights, they don't even know each other, but there's just this fundamental... I was like, why am I reading so many plays about death?
Yeah.
I don't understand. This year, there's a lot of plays. The trending theme seems to be couples in restaurants.
Oh,
interesting.
I've read so many plays that are couples in restaurants.
It went from death to romance, couples in restaurants.
But like when it's couples at restaurants, is it romantic kind of conversation, or are they having a dispute, or what?
Yes and yes.
Yeah, yes.
Young couples just meeting for the first time. Old couples trying to reignite their relationships. Work colleagues that decide that they work so closely together and both of them are single, so why not get married? But I don't love you. Well, I don't love you either, but let's just, make that decision. Different themes, but couples in restaurants.
Well, maybe there was this thing of, it's almost like that saying of after the war, like the baby boomers, right? Like after war and death, everyone like couples up and makes babies. So maybe there's been something in maybe it's a reflection of the events of, like, last year was a pretty big year in terms of good news, but also a lot of bad news. So maybe now this year people are trying to like recover from it and be like, we've survived that year, let's come together.
Process is that when a director chooses a script, they then get connected with their writer to say, this is the person that wrote it. Some writers really love to have creative input into their work, and some writers say, thanks for picking up my play, run with it, do whatever you want to do, I just write the thing, I don't want to do anything else. And so I've tried to say to directors this year, if you're reading a script, perhaps in consultation with your writer, the couple in the restaurant, do they have to be a man and a woman? Can it be 2 men? Can it be 2 women? Do they have to be two white people? And so blind casting is really important for me as well, because I feel like if I'm going to see 50 plays about couples in a restaurant, I kind of want to see some different things to make it interesting to watch. So in some ways it's a bit selfish for me to say blind casting, be creative, be aware of what is available to you out in the world. It's not necessarily just a man and a woman, but that might be a selfish thing on my behalf because
That's your own vision. Yeah.
No, it feels like it's a really open approach that you take. Like you go out and you seek stories, like no matter how they happen.
Absolutely, because fundamentally, I think, like I said before, fundamentally, I think we all have stories to tell, and I think the human connection is about that similarity.
Yeah.
You know, oh, did your heart get broken? Oh, so did mine.
Yeah.
You know, oh, or, you know, have you got a best friend that lives across the other side of the world? Oh, me too. You know, these are all things that people relate to, and I think audiences come to see the theatre not only to escape, but also to see a reflection of their own lives.
Yes.
And I think I wouldn't be doing my job properly if a reflection of the theatre is just two Caucasian actors standing on stage. To walk away from the 2019 festival saying, I had a great time, I saw some great plays, I met some great people, and now I'm going off to do more work in the industry. You know, I connected with a director already, and her and I spoke about writing a short film and directing it together, which is something I've always wanted to do, and so we're in the process of writing a short film. So I've already created my own work outside of the festival, and with the Sydney industry being as small as it is, you have to create your own work. So why not create it out of a festival where you've had a good time, you've met some great people, you know, some audiences have come along and they've gone, fantastic, we'll be back next year. If that's the most that comes out of this festival, then I'm happy.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging with us today, talking to Sarah about all the different things in relation to Short and Sweet, making your first film, going off to New York, living in the Philippines. So thank you very much, Sarah.
Pleasure.
And don't forget to check out the Short and Sweet Festival coming up
Yes,
soon.
definitely. Buy some tickets. Magandang umaga, kamusta ka? If you're really interested in coming along to see 10-minute plays, buy some tickets for Short and Sweet. Maraming salamat po.